Welcome to ZKast, everyone. I'm Z.S. Caraval from ZK Research, and I'm here inside New York's Penn One offices. I'm here with Fran Katsoudas, here is Cisco's People, Policy, and Purpose Officer. Fran, it's great to be with you. It's Global Citizen Week.
It is.
How you been doing?
Doing well. Really excited about this week.
Yeah, and you've been in this role now for a while. It's a unique title. I certainly don't know anybody else that has that. So just a little bit of what that entails.
Yeah, so at Cisco, what it means is we've brought our people organization, our government affairs, the digital projects that we do around the world, real estate, sustainability, social impact together. And together, all of us work hard to architect how we meet our purpose, which is to power an inclusive future for all. And it's a great challenge. What we find is so much of our work is really around how we address the digital divide.
Yeah, it's interesting. Since in the pandemic, actually, when you pivoted to inclusive future, Cisco's really taken that to heart. In fact, I've noticed a lot of the activities Cisco does is to do that, including this week. We're here. It's Climate Week, as I mentioned. It's Global Citizen Week. Now, Cisco has been a sponsor, a lead sponsor of Global Citizen now for 6-7 years.
6 years, yeah.
6 years, yeah. And so how's that gone? How's the relationship with Global Citizen changed, and any lessons learned along the way?
Yeah, it's a great partnership. I think it has evolved, and I think that's important. What I would say first that I really thought was different about Global Citizen was that it had an audacious goal to end extreme poverty, and no one says that. The second thing is a belief that every single human is a citizen that can play a role in how we address that. And from a value alignment perspective at Cisco, we also feel like every single employee can shape where the company goes. And so that's where it started. And I think over the years, Global Citizen has expanded to focus on the planet, which very aligns with our sustainability efforts. And then lastly, this element of economic inclusion, which I think is so close to everything that we do from an education perspective, even our digital projects. And so when you have that type of alignment, I think it's really important. And we continue to grow and learn and bring other partners into the fold. And so our learning is that the more that we can bring our employees into the work that we're doing, the more that we can connect communities, the bigger impact we're going to have.
Yeah, and again, over the years, you've had played many different roles. One of them is you sponsored the Youth Leadership Award winner.
Yeah.
And I'll be interviewing that person later this week,
yeah.
which is great. And but what are some of the other activities you've done with them?
Yeah, so we, in addition to the Youth Leadership Award, where we look for young people that are really having an impact on the world, we've done a lot of work on sustainability. We've hosted sustainability sessions with Global Citizen where we're coming together from a public and private perspective to drive bodies of work. In a couple of weeks, we actually have an economic inclusion effort that we're doing in Africa. One other thing that I'll mention is we have the Move Africa efforts, where we're really trying to create industries while maintaining and building these festivals that engage youth. And so those are some of the things that we're doing. What we always look for are places where what we do as a company around connectivity and helping people get access are aligned to Global Citizen as well.
Yeah, and what I love about the Youth Leadership Award, and you'll have to stay tuned to see what this year's winner does, is it's often people will say, well, I'm just one person, what can I do? A lot of these are just one person, and they've impacted tens of thousands of people in some cases.
So I follow up with all of the Global Citizen winners, and they're so successful, whether it's Wawira Nijiru, who is now feeding hundreds of thousands of children per day. Nidhi Pant has a very successful technology company. Ricardo, who you're going to talk to. What I love about Ricardo is he believes in doing good for the world and good for business. Like, he wants to run a really good business. And in the past, we always thought you had to pick one or the other. And so he's an example of doing both.
Yeah, it just shows with a strong enough will and a little bit of capital.
Yeah, that's right.
You can have a big impact. And this year, what are you talking about this year?
So this year, we're going to put the spotlight on Covenant House. Covenant House is really special from a Cisco perspective and more broadly. It's an organization that is working to help teenagers who are unhoused get off the streets, help them get into a safe environment where they have access to education, roof over their heads, the counseling and support that they need. And I think it was about 7 or 8 years ago that we had a subset of employees in this office here in New York who came together and wanted to do something. And next thing you know, they engaged more and more of their peers. And this year, our goal is to have 750 employees sleep out over around the world. And when we sleep out, we're not pretending to be homeless. What we're doing is building empathy, and for one evening, understanding what it's like to sleep out on the streets. And so our goal is to raise $2 million this year.
Wow.
To have 750 people sleep out. And this, to me, is an example of how our employees kind of built momentum and a cause around Covenant House.
Yeah, and how big is the homeless problem for that age group?
Oh, it's so significant. Every time I hear the stats, I'm pretty overwhelmed. In the Santa Clara region and here in New York as well, we see a large percentage of children being impacted and unhoused. And so the numbers are bigger than we would like to see them. Of course, we want to have no one in this situation. And I think Covenant House does a beautiful job.
And we're talking about, with Santa Clara and New York, two of the more affluent areas of the country.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And sadly, sometimes when you have that, you still have a tremendous amount of people in need that almost are not seen because of that affluent community as well. And so because of the work that we've done with Covenant House, we actually have a Santa Clara house where many teens are housed. And the other thing that we've done is we have brought the Networking Academy in as well, so that as they're there, they can build the digital skills to hopefully land with a great job
that's
as well.
giving them a roof over their head, but it's giving them skills which
That's
they
right.
can build
That's
a
right.
career. Well, that's nice to hear. Now, one of the P's in your title is purpose.
Yes.
Right, and I think it's fair to say more and more companies are trying to embrace purpose.
Yes.
And how big do you see that today as within your peers?
Yeah, so it's interesting because I do see more and more purpose officers. Something that I thought was fascinating was last quarter, we had over 300 requests from customers to come and sit with us to talk about the intersection of purpose and business. When I think about it from a business lens, what I realize is that when you work with customers on purpose, it's a long-term strategy. In many cases, you're talking about a lasting legacy. Purpose typically isn't short-term, so it's a long-term effort as well. And we find it as a way to really build relationships and do great work together.
Yeah, and a question, maybe this is a little sensitive. If you look at some of the chatter around Cisco, you've certainly had your ups and downs.
Yeah.
There's some skeptics that wonder why Cisco engages heavily in purpose and activities like that. Can you connect the dots between your activities there and the Cisco business?
Of course, and it's kind of easy to do. So our technology, first and foremost, drives connectivity, and we have for almost 40 years now. And one of the things that we've learned over the years is that when someone is not connected, and today we estimate that at least about 3 billion people are not connected, it impacts their ability to get health care. It impacts education, government services, their work potentially.
Well, everything.
Everything, right? And so our ability to connect is wonderful for those communities. When we do it together with government, it's also good from a business perspective. And I think we have to be okay with the fact that there are things that we do for the world that are also good for business and the reverse. And so many times, and I talked to someone who said this yesterday, you'll start off going into a situation trying to help, and you realize in the end it actually creates a business opportunity. And I think so much of the world is based off of relationships and values and goodwill that a lot of our work leads there. But I would say that today, securely connecting people is both good for business and good for society and communities around the world.
Yeah, I would say that's true. In fact, if you look at where Cisco historically has driven connectivity, it's had really a democratizing effect on those areas, and which is why today we see so many emerging countries now being countries that were emerging years ago now being leaders in the world.
That's right.
Yeah.
And even ZS, when I look at something like the edge centers that we build across Africa. So you can look at this incubation center where Cisco puts our technology and our training and some mentorship and say, wow, that's really cool that Cisco does that. But what we're doing is we're training the next generation of partners. Those partners sell Cisco technology. And so it's a really cool system that we've built. And so what I would say to people that question is that purpose is really powerful for the impact you have around the world. And time again, we prove that it's really good for business as well.
All right. And last question, I can't get away from not asking about AI,
Yes.
right? Every business leader, every technology leader today talks about it. How are you thinking about it in the context of the Cisco workforce and within your role as the people officer, being able to help that workforce transition and what that means to the company?
So yeah, I would say that we believe that AI will have significant impact on our work and our roles across the company and across the industry. Our approach is to really start to understand how technology will impact the work that we do so that we can prepare our people for those changes, ensure that we all have the training. I think, Zia, something that's going to change is that we're going to have to get trained on a rather regular basis to leverage technology in a way that makes us better, more efficient, and where the work is going. And so we just launched the AI consortium work, which I think is a blueprint around how roles are changing. Because for Cisco, it intersects our technology. It's so important when you think about both the network and security, but it's also important when you think about every single function across the company. And so you'll see us wanting to lead and be a thought leader in this space as well.
Yeah, AI is coming and it's changing fast.
It is.
Are we ready? Or do we have a choice?
We don't have a choice.
Yeah.
We don't have a choice. And I think we talked a little bit about this, but establishing those use cases where we can say clearly this is a place where AI is starting to have impact and to build from that, I think is really important. And what you're seeing is that every single function across the company now is using AI and taking baby steps. Something that we've done is we're trying to put the technology in the hands of our people. Because I think it's going to be important to do both bottoms up and top down as we think about AI. In a lot of companies right now, you feel a bit of pressure from the CEO saying, hey, everyone's doing this, we need to lean in. I think the magic is when our own people are solving issues leveraging AI, and that's exactly where we're focusing.
All right, Fran, anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's great.
Yeah, from the time I think I first met you, you've added 2 more P's to your title, but I think your job has gotten 100 times more complicated.
A lot of P's.
Yeah. So always lovely catching up with you.
Thanks,
So on
Zia.
behalf of Fran Katsoudas from Cisco, I'm Zias Caraval from ZK Research, and thanks for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'll see you next time on my next episode of ZKast.